What led to yesterday's deadly crash of a helicopter with a commercial jet from Wichita? We'll have the latest. KOAM News at 10 is next.
NTSB investigators move closer to learning what happened in the final moments before that deadly mid-air collision near the nation's capital. I am Erica Brown at Reagan National Airport with the latest findings in the investigation.
In the wake of the D.C. plane crashes, families may have to face other struggles as well. I'm Lonnie Walton. I spoke to a lawyer and a funeral director, and they say there are ways to make things a lot smoother. Stick around. I have the details coming up.
And some residents in Arma expressed concerns after hearing reports about discontinued fire department programs.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Search goes on for dozens of victims of the country's most deadly plane crash since 2009. This is KOAM News at 10. I'm Dow Quick. Crews have recovered at least 40 bodies from the collision of the Army Black Hawk helicopter and an American Airlines flight out of Wichita near Reagan National Airport. Erica Brown has the latest on the investigation from Arlington, Virginia.
Recovery crews spent all day Thursday combing the Potomac River searching for the remains of those lost in the horrific collision just short of the runway at Reagan National Airport.
At this point, we don't believe there are any survivors from this accident.
Officials say there were 64 people on board the American Airlines regional jet from Wichita, Kansas, and 3 on the U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter when they slammed into each other as the jet was preparing to land just before 9 Wednesday night.
Crash. This is alert 3. Crash.
The plane now sits upside down, broken into at least 3 pieces in waist-high water in the Potomac. CBS News has learned that just one air traffic control worker was managing the helicopters and planes, a job normally done by 2 people. The National Transportation Safety Board is leading the investigation.
We look at the human, the machine, and the environment. That is standard in any part of our investigation.
The NTSB says both black boxes from the plane have been recovered. They're being analyzed at an NTSB lab near the crash scene. At the time of the crash, both aircraft were flying at about 400 feet. Military helicopters are supposed to stay below 200 feet.
We're still in a recovery mode, first and foremost, to get the perishable evidence and specifically the bodies out. Once we get a little bit closer into that, we'll be able to better understand the dynamics of what may have happened upon impact.
Among those aboard American Airlines Flight 5342, a group of figure skaters, their parents, and coaches returning from a skate camp in Wichita. Recovery crews suspended their search at dusk. They'll be back in the water at dawn. Erica Brown, CBS News, Arlington, Virginia.
In the wake of that crash, the families might have to face even more trials like estate funds and funeral issues. We decided to talk to local professionals about how to make the transition much smoother for your family if you happen to lose a loved one. KOAM's Lonnie Walton has that story.
We typically liken it to was our response to the Joplin tornado.
Stephen Dartfeld is the owner of Dartfeld Funeral Home. He says death is not a stranger to him. Being a former first responder and now a funeral director, he's helped many people through hard times.
The identification process there through DNA and dental records and getting all of those individuals identified. And
Dartfeld says the best way for families to deal with the loss of a loved one is to be prepared, meaning having a written document.
Maybe if you have 3 or 4 kids, make a copy for each of them so they all have a copy.
Lawyer and owner of Modern Business and Estate Planning Law, LLC, Jacob Addison, agrees. He says,
whenever you die and you have not told the world who you want to be your beneficiary, then the world has no idea who that asset should go to.
Addison says these beneficiaries solve a lot of headaches.
Those transfer your accounts, your cars, all of the remainder of your assets to your intended heirs.
Dartfeld says him and his family have a wealth of knowledge.
All of our staff has experience in either law enforcement or firefighting, EMT. Of course, our family used to operate an ambulance service.
Reporting in Joplin, I'm Lonnie Walton, KOAM News.
Adamson says if you don't get these things in order while you can, it could take up to 2 years or more to resolve the issues. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Doug Hetty for a first look at the weather.
Well, of course, we've been kind of in and out of showers throughout the entire daytime hours, but temperatures for us today, well above freezing. 63 was our high, average high is 46, so a good chunk above. where we should be for this time of the year. About 4/10 of an inch at the airport in Joplin since midnight. Of course, we had rain prior to midnight for us yesterday. Fog kind of building in, so be careful on the roads. Plus, we still have wet roads, mid to upper 40s across the region, and that fog is going to thicken up as we go through the next several hours. So a lot of areas you're going to have visibilities under a half mile, under a quarter of a mile, plus some of the roads are going to be wet. So be very careful if you're going to be out throughout the overnight hours. This backside, you can see this band pushing up toward Kansas City, will rotate back through. So we are going to start the day with still some showers again on Friday. We're going to be talking about that in your weekend here in just a bit.
See you soon. There are no reports of injuries from this afternoon's train derailment in Columbus, Kansas. The crash impacted the railroad crossings on Kansas and High School Avenue, at least for a time. BNSF estimated the crossings would remain blocked for a few hours while they worked to move the cars back onto the tracks. The Arma, Kansas Fire Department responds to reports of a change in two of its programs that had generated some community concern. An anonymous Facebook post said the department is discontinuing their junior fire program and their sleep-in program. Post sparked concerns from some residents who say the junior fire department opens doors for young people to learn and grow as potential firefighters. Some people were also concerned because the sleep-in program allows for quick responses to overnight calls. The fire chief clarified that he does not plan to end the junior program or the sleep-in program.
Our station is basically your home. You can watch TV, work on a computer, and then go to bed at night. And if we get a call in the middle of the night, you get up, or a medical call, you get up in the middle of the night and you go to that call.
Fire chief says people interested in either program can come to the Arma Fire Department to learn more about joining. 30 teachers in the Pittsburgh School District received the gift of grant money today. We're going to tell you why in just a bit. And gorillas in the midst of Cherokee County gathered to network and reconnect. The Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation is looking into the injury of an inmate at the Ottawa County Jail. The Sheriff's Department says on January 22nd, a woman was transported to the Miami Integris Hospital by ambulance from her home in Miami for a possible overdose. We're not using the woman's name because she's not charged with a crime. While at the hospital, the woman reportedly became aggressive with the medical staff. Miami police officers arrested her on probable cause for battery of a medical professional. Sheriff's Department says when the woman arrived at the jail, she was unable to walk without assistance due to what appeared to be symptoms of intoxication and at times acted aggressively toward jail staff. Authorities say she was not placed into the general population and was kept where jailers could observe her on video. They say she was taken back to the hospital for treatment after striking her head on the floor, then brought back to the jail on January 23rd, where she was placed in a holding cell by herself. They say over the weekend, she was watched and nothing appeared to change with her condition. Then on Monday of this week, the woman appeared in court with injuries that included 2 black eyes. In a news release, Sheriff David Dean says, quote, "It was reported to me on Monday that the woman may have been seriously injured while detained in the Ottawa County Jail. My office has begun a preliminary investigation into the matter. At this time, it does not appear that any person assaulted her." Now, at the sheriff's request, the OSBI is investigating this case, and the district attorney's office has dismissed the criminal charges against the woman, saying it does not appear she was able to form a criminal intent at the hospital. Today, the USD 250 Foundation recognized 30 teachers from the Pittsburgh School District with grants totaling more than $28,000. That grant money went to Pittsburgh's elementary schools, community middle school, and high school. The foundation says the money will help fund a wide range of school supplies, field trips, and more to benefit students. The USD 250 Foundation awards grant money for the district every January. A group of gorillas gathered on the grounds of the 4-H Club building in Columbus, Kansas this evening. The event brought together Pitt State alumni to enjoy some fried chicken, network with other gorillas, and hear an update on the university. The evening also featured Joe Levins, the interim associate dean of the Crossland College of Technology and professor of School of Construction, as the guest speaker.
And I like it. I come to each one that I'm invited to. Cherokee County does their own, as do the other counties, and I like the people. I like to visit. They bring Southeast Kansas chicken.
Pitt State has 6 more gorilla gatherings scheduled until March. A little later, kindergarten kids in Carthage celebrate a milestone today in their new school year.
Plus, we still have a little bit more rain to go with this storm system. We're going to talk about that coming up. Well, of course, on and off showers, thunderstorms for us last night, and then periods of rain throughout the daytime hours for us today. We have some fog. We still have some drizzle out there, but a nice shot of our Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Indigo is just outside of Seneca, Missouri. All right, let's look at rainfall amounts. The lightest definitely has been on the Kansas and the Oklahoma side of under a ½ inch. Once you get into the green, we're talking a ½ inch to an inch. Some isolated heavier amounts. So the most rain really fell in Barton, Jasper, Newton County, Lawrence, then up through Dade County in southwestern parts of Missouri. As of right now, all the persistent rain is out of here, but we're left behind with some drizzle, and again, the fog is going to be building in as we go through the overnight hours. So mainly cloudy skies. You can see our temperatures kind of holding mainly into the mid 40s, but once we get to late tonight, here's 4:30 in the morning, some light showers starting to sneak back in. So we are going to start the day on your Friday, cloudy skies and a few bands of light showers, and then these will start to push out once we get into the afternoon. We don't have to worry about any snow. Temperatures mainly mid to upper 40s. We're going to hold fairly steady. However, the fog builds in. So at times, we're going to have very dense fog of under a quarter of a mile, under a half a mile. Plus, we're going to still have some wet roads. So if you are going to be out, watch out for the fog. And then once we get into about mid-morning, the fog will start to burn off, and then we look better. But it's going to be a dreary Friday. Look at this storm system. It extends from Colorado all the way out toward Washington, D.C., and that's why it's weakening, because it's getting stretched apart. But here's the upper level low that is passing through. So once this twist gets past us, then this storm system will exit the region, which we're going to see happen as we get into the weekend. We get into a zone of flow, meaning from west to east. We don't have any big storm systems. We do get a weak system that will press in once we get through the middle of next week. Some rain chances, maybe a few flakes of snow. And then this is going to push out, so no big storm systems next week, kind of up and down temperatures. And then we'll watch for maybe another system trying to get in by next weekend. So for tonight, we got the clouds, we got the fog, we got the drizzle. As we start the morning hours, we get some light showers pushing through. Clouds kind of stick around, but once we get into the afternoon, we get a little bit of sunshine, a little bit warmer on the Kansas side. Missouri side, you're going to stay into the upper 40s. Partly cloudy skies tomorrow night. Again, we could get some fog that tries to build into the region. So we'll start a little bit of fog. Once we get into the afternoon on Saturday, look at this, temperatures near 60 degrees, which is pretty good. All right, 44 to start, 45 by noon, high temp of 50 as we get into Friday afternoon. But look at this, 60 on Saturday, up to 65 by the time we head into Sunday. All right, 60 on Saturday, again, tomorrow kind of gloomy still. 65 Sunday, 56 on Monday, down Tuesday, up Wednesday, down Thursday, so up and down next week. But again, all the Arctic air is retreated, so we don't have to deal with the super cold temperatures, because January was one of our coldest Januaries we've had in a while.
Well, let's just put that month behind us then and move on to February.
Let's do it on Saturday.
And I tell you what, it's going to be a nice start to the brand new month. Thanks, Doug. List of schools in southern Missouri calling off class because of widespread illness. That list is growing, and districts still in session are seeing fewer students in the classroom. So keeping students healthy, of course, is a top priority. Nixa Public Schools, for example, has what's called a UVC cart. It uses ultraviolet light to kill germs and disinfect entire rooms in just 15 to 30 minutes. The light can reach places some custodians might not even think to clean. Administrators say the decision to shut down classrooms doesn't come lightly.
Our top priority is the health and safety of our students and our staff, and then our community too. We never make, closing school lightly. We never make this decision lightly. It's a very hard decision for administration to make, but we did feel it necessary to do this.
The school's undergoing deep cleaning, hope to resume classes next week. Fresh embryo transfer might be a better option than frozen embryos for some women trying to have a baby. A study by BMJ found that for women with a low chance of having a healthy baby through in vitro fertilization, using fresh embryos had an 8% higher chance of pregnancy than frozen embryos. But the study's authors acknowledge more research is needed. Doctors might have found a new way to tell which people are more likely to have a severe case of COVID. A study published by the Menopause Society suggests there's a link between our white blood cell count and how badly COVID will impact us. Testing white blood cells is typically easy and cheap. The hope is to be able to predict beforehand who is most at risk for a severe case. And women face major challenges when they go to the gym. A survey published in the journal PLOS showed many women feel judged by their appearance and performance at the gym, and many experience harassment and unsolicited comments from men while working out. Researchers say more needs to be done to make gyms into comfortable and supportive places for women. Still ahead, Missouri Southern basketball faces Arkansas Fort Smith on the road, and Fort Scott High School wrestling hosts Frontenac. John Dales has those stories and more up next.
Tonight is the 9th annual Cannonball Clash between Fort Scott and Frontenac High School Wrestling. The winner takes home a traveling trophy. We start with the girls. Frontenac comes into Fort Scott looking for an upset. It's because the Lady Tigers are ranked 4th as a team in Class 4A. At the 110-pound weight class, Fort Scott's Kenna Miles wrestling against Ella Blythe, and Miles will win this one by fall. Good start for Fort Scott, and it continues from there. We go ahead to 115 pounds now. Jerry Smith with the takedown of Abby Albright, and she would win by major decision. 9 more points for Fort Scott as Fort Scott jumps out to a 22-0 lead. At 120 pounds, though, Raiders regain some momentum. Maya Courtney takes down Addison Metcalf, and she wins by fall. Then at 155 pounds, this bout lasted 5.5 minutes. Frontenac's Mason Mutz wins by fall over Taylor Schaub, recovers from a 9-0 deficit. Frontenac girls wrestling comes back to beat Fort Scott 42-40. Over to the boys duel. Fort Scott celebrating its senior night as it hosts Frontenac. We start at 120 pounds. Chance Wilderman from Frontenac takes 1 minute to win by fall over Lucas Ogren. Then at 126 pounds, Frontenac's Cruz Pickle, he wastes no time either. After just 58 seconds, he wins by fall over Cullen O'Kelly. We move ahead to 175 pounds now, and this was a great battle between Lennox Van and Dominic Riccardi. Van gets the takedown, and he would get the win by fall. That gets the crowd fired up. At 190 pounds, Frontenac senior Alonzo Burke working hard. He gets the pin on Brody Stoughton, and he wins by fall. Frontenac boys wrestling beats Fort Scott 45-36. 6th-ranked Pittsburgh State women's basketball back in action tonight. Gorillas head on the road for an MIAA game against Northeastern State, and they bring an 8-game winning streak with them. Well, Pittsburgh State extends that winning streak to 9 games. Gorillas take care of Northeastern State 80-62. Macy Mays, Grace Pyle, Corinna Gerber, all of them scored double-digit points. And PSU holds the Riverhawks to 36% shooting from the field. Amanda David's team back in action at Arkansas Fort Smith on Saturday. Well, the Pitt State men come up short, though, 71-66 final score. It's a game the Gorillas led by 14 at halftime. However, they get outscored 44-25 in the second half. This goes down as a very disappointing loss. The Missouri Southern Lions also on the road in MIAA country. They travel to Arkansas Fort Smith. Both Lions teams are coming off a loss to Pittsburgh State on Saturday. Well, the Missouri Southern women win an instant classic against Arkansas Fort Smith 103-96 in double overtime. Lion freshman Grace Frazier with maybe her best game yet. The former Diamond Wildcat scores a career-high 24 points to go with 5 assists and 2 steals. Caitlin Honeycutt leads all scorers with 25 points. Missouri Southern men's basketball falls 73-57. This one is a bit of a shocker because Arkansas Fort Smith came into this one in last place in the conference with just 1 MIAA victory. Southern shot 36% from the field as a team. Back to that Lions women's game that they won. Grace Frazier, just a freshman from Diamond High School here in the 4 states, making an impact right away with the Lions.
That's good to see. He has a promising future.
Yeah.
We'll be right back. Kindergartners at Columbian Elementary School in Carthage celebrated a bit of a milestone today. The staff and students took a look back on their first 100 days of the school year. You know, 100 days is a pretty long time when you're that young. The celebration featured a variety of fun activities and crafts, all using the number 100.
The kids need to have fun, and this just takes all of our learning and puts it into fun activities, fun things. And I just want the community to see that how hard we've worked and everything that we've done up to this point is getting celebrated with them.
All 5 classrooms took part in today's celebration. They did things like make necklaces out of 100 Fruit Loops, for example, stacked 100 things and so on. Just to give them an idea of numbers and just how big 100 is.
I had 2 bowls of Fruit Loops this morning.
Did you?
They were probably about 100 of them.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
You need to count those, keep track.
Maybe.
You are looking at some other numbers for us.
Yeah, 50 tomorrow. Kind of a dreary day. We're going to have some fog and some showers, but the weekend looks fantastic.
Final sports notes.
College baseball and softball season gets started tomorrow for Missouri Southern and Pitt State.
Can you believe it?
I know, we're
It's
already
here. You bet. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget the morning show at 5 a.m. and let's make it a great tomorrow.